Previously, we've learned how to do addition, subtraction, and multiplication with polynomials. This video is going to talk to you about division, which is unfortunately quite a bit more difficult. First, let's look at an example of regular long division that we're pretty comfortable with. Here we're going to divide 3,786 by 4. What we're dividing by is called the divisor. And when we set up our long division, the divisor goes outside the little house. And then what is being divided is called the dividend. And that goes inside the house, 3,786. And our answer is going to appear up at the top. And that's going to be called the quotient. Now, if this number doesn't go in perfectly, we're going to have something called a remainder. So let's keep that idea in our heads on the side. We might have a remainder. All right, let's get going. The first thing we do is we ask ourselves, how many times does the divisor 4 go into the first number in the dividend? Well, 4 doesn't go into 3 any times because 4 is bigger than 3. So then we extend to the first 2 numbers in the dividend, and we say, how many times does 4 go into 37? Well, 4 goes into 37 about 9 times because 4 times 9 is 36. So we're looking for something close, but a little bit less. So I write a 9 up top, and then I multiply 9 times the divisor, and I get 36, and I write that at the bottom. You'll notice the steps have appeared on the right, and hopefully those help you. The next thing we do is subtract that answer, 36, from what's above it, and I get a 1. Now I bring down the next number, the 8, write that below, and then I repeat all my steps. Except now I ask myself, how many times does 4 go into 18? Well, 4 goes into 18 4 times. So I write that next to my 9, and then I do 4 times 4 is 16, write that. Subtract, I have a 2, bring down my 6, I have a 6. 4 goes into 26 6 times, 24, and it looks like I had subtract that. It looks like I have a remainder of 2. Now you've learned 2 different ways to express your remainders in your life. The first way you did was probably just saying R2, remainder 2. It goes in 946 times with a remainder of 2. Later on, you may have made a fraction. For right now, we're just going to say R2. So my quotient is 946 with a remainder of 2. Now, I went through that because there's actually a lot of similarities with regular long division and polynomial long division. It follows the same basic steps. We're asking ourselves the same questions. And we're going to follow really similar steps. We're going to ask ourselves, how many times does the divisor go into the dividend? We're going to multiply, we're going to subtract, and then we're going to bring down, and then we're going to repeat it all. So let's see it in action. We're going to do the same thing where we take our divisor and put it outside the house, so x minus 3. And I draw my house, and then I have the dividend, 2x to the third minus 8x squared plus 5x plus 5. Now, in my first step, I'm actually only going to use the x part of my divisor, and I'm going to look at this first piece of my dividend. And the question I'm asking myself now is, what can I put up top, or how many times does x go into 2x to the third? Or what's 2x to the third divided by x? Well, you guys know that. That's 2x squared. Now I'm going to take that 2x squared and multiply it by both parts now of the divisor. So my first time I was only looking at the x, but now I am going to multiply it with both parts. So I'm going to have 2x times x, that's 2x to the third. 2x times negative 3 minus 6x squared. Now, you may notice that I have a 2x to the third and a 2x to the third. Not a coincidence. That should always happen. If you're not getting that, if you're not getting it so that it's the same term, you've done something wrong. All right, now we'll subtract, and I have to remember to subtract the whole thing. So remember, beware of this sign. But 2x to the third minus 2x to the third, well, that cancels out, which it should. So I sort of have a 0 here. 8x squared minus 6x squared, well, that becomes plus, so I have minus 2x squared. Now I do bring down the plus 5x, just like I did in regular long division. All right, again now, I'm going back and I'm just looking at that x of my divisor. And I'm going to see how many times does that go into negative 2x squared. Again, the question I'm doing is negative 2x squared divided by x. Well, we know that. That's negative 2x. So minus 2x I put up at the top. And now again, I'm going to multiply both parts of my divisor by the 2x. So negative 2x times x, well, that's a negative 2x squared. Good. A little check here. These are the same. And then negative 2x minus 3 would be plus 6x. And now I am going to go back and subtract. Again, this part here, the first terms, are going to cancel out my x squared. So I have a 0. 5x minus 6x will be a negative 1x. Good. Now I'm going to bring down this 5 plus 5. So now my question is, how many times does x go into 1x? Again, I'm going back just to that x part. Well, just once. So, or negative 1, I guess. Negative 1. Negative 1 times x over here is negative 1x. Again, look, we have the same thing. That's really important. Negative 1x. Negative 1 times 3 is plus 3. All right, these cancel out when I subtract. So 0, and then 5 minus 3 is 2. Now I have nothing left to bring down, so looks like I must be done. So my answer would be 2x squared minus 2x minus 1 with a remainder of 2. Let's do another example. Now I have my divisor is x plus 2, so I put that outside the house. Then under the house is x to the third plus 4x squared minus 3x plus 1. All right, you might remember our first step is to look just at the first term of the divisor, just that x, I'm going to underline it, and ask ourselves, how many times does that x go into x to the third? Now, because we know the process, you could be thinking ahead. What, when I multiply by x, will give me x to the third? Remember, what I put right here wants to be x to the third. Again, the same, if it helps you, the question is x to the third divided by x. Well, we know that's x squared. So x squared times x squared times 2. So x squared times x is x to the third. Good, that looks like it'll cancel out. And then x squared times 2 plus 2x squared. All right, now I'm going to subtract that. X to the third minus x to the third, a 0. 4x squared minus 2x, that's 2x squared. Bring down my minus 3x. All right, now I'm going back to my divisor. Again, how many times does x go into 2x squared? So I can do the little trick division, 2x squared divided by x. Well, that's just 2x. So I will put plus 2x up at the top. Now I have to multiply 2x by both terms in my divisor. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Good, I'm in luck. It looks to be the same as what was above. 2x times 2 is plus 4x. And again, I'm subtracting. That's a 0. Negative 3x minus 4x is a negative 7x. And then I will bring down the plus 1. X plus 2 into negative 7x plus 1, or more simply, x into negative 7x is just a negative 7. Negative 7 times x, negative 7x, minus 14, and I have run out of space. But I know that the 7x's are canceling out, so I'll have 0. And then 1 minus negative 14 becomes a plus, so I end up with plus 15. Now I have nothing left to bring down. So looks like my answer is going to be x squared plus 2x minus 7 with a remainder of 15. All right, to finish off your homework, please try this problem. Now, I know this is really a tricky process, so I just want you to try this one problem. And tomorrow in class, I'll actually teach you a trick, but I do want you to know the entire real process. Good luck.